Hello and welcome to Bruno's Geek Reviews. So this is the first introductory episode to a small series of videos I'm going to do, which is about D&D variants. And this first episode, I'm not going to discuss any of the specific games. I'm just going to give an introduction about a little bit about D&D clones, retro clones, variants, all that stuff. Explain the context of them, how they came to be. And veteran D&D players already very aware of what I'm going to be talking about, but just to put everyone into context, I wanted to do this anyway. So basically what happened is the company Wizards of the Coast bought D&D during its second edition from from TSR, and when they did, they also came up with the third edition. And what happened is they did something which was unprecedented, which was the open gaming license. And you can look up the legal stuff online if you want. I'm just going to give you the main strokes of it. Basically, it allowed people to create books for the new edition of D&D, which was a huge thing when that happened, because that basically meant, it was like Wizards of the Coast was kind of like giving the keys of your house to your competitor, and and telling him, hey, you can go in my fridge, make yourself a sandwich, make yourself at home, you can use our rule system. That was huge. And of course, almost all the role-playing game companies jumped at the occasion. They even White Wolf, which is the publisher of World of Darkness, the company that made Vampire the Masquerade and all those dark games from the 90s. Even they made books for D&D when that happened. And of course, because the thing is, if other D&D is the role-playing game for most role players. So if a company can make books based on that game, they're gonna make money. And for Wizards of the Coast, the advantage is that other companies help them support their line. So people, if they like the books from this company, which are D&D 3rd edition, they'll go back and buy the main core rule books from Wizards. And let's say that Wizards does a book which has the same subject matter as this book from a third-party publisher, as they're referred to. Most people are going to buy the official supplement from Wizards. So it was kind of like a win-win situation for everyone. Of course, there was a lot of crap that was published, but also a lot of good stuff. Because at first, the floodgates open, as they say. It was everyone wanted a slice of that pie. After that, they came with a 3.5 edition, which was kind of like a revised 3rd edition, but it was still the same game. But then what happened? What happened is that Hasbro, which is a toy company, bought Wizards of the Coast. And from my personal, from here on out, no one was. I wasn't in those meetings. No one knows what happened behind those doors, except people who work there or work for the companies or know people who did. But basically, Hasbro treated D&D as they would treat any other toy product. They didn't understand the market of role, they didn't understand the psychology of their clients. And they figured, oh, look at these guys, they buy the books and they really like this game and they spend a lot of money on these books. These books are not cheap. So if we come up with a new edition, 4th edition, they're gonna rebuy all the books again. This is great, and we're gonna make money. No, that's not how it went. Because the market wasn't ready for a new edition, and 3rd edition, not everyone was a fan of it, but most people are very happy with it. Players were not ready for a new edition, in the sense that they were still enjoying 3rd edition. It still felt new, when compared to the 2nd edition, which was there for such a long time. Advanced, Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, when compared to that, third edition was still new. I mean, it had a decent lifespan, but you know, it could have gone longer. And basically, a lot of people said, you know what? Fine, there's a new edition, but I have all these books I bought, and I'm gonna continue playing the game with these books. I'm gonna spend my money all over again on these new ones. Whereas if they had continued with third edition, people would have gladly continued buying supplements for it. So they wouldn't it's not like once people bought books for a specific edition, like there's no more money to be made with those clients. No, they'll buy more supplements. But if you tell them they have to buy the core set of rules again for this new edition, that's another story. Like, it's not like, oh, here's this shiny book with more monsters for a game you like. It's no, buy this book with the same monsters you already have, but with new rules for them. So that's not attractive at all as an option. Especially, these books can be like $30 each. So, and they also, the way they did the 4th edition, I don't want to get too much into it, because 4th edition has its fans. I never even played it, so I'm not a fair judge for that specific D&D 4th edition, for that specific game. I'm not a fair judge, but the general consensus is it didn't work very much as a D&D game. It felt like they tried to do an MMO, massively multiplayer online game at the table, which is kind of like a very twisted circle cannibalistic thing, because all these role-playing games, electronic role-playing games, were trying to emulate D&D, now D&D was trying to emulate them. And it didn't really work for most people. For some it did, but for most people it didn't really work. And it kind of like divided the player base, because when after 3rd edition stopped having its official like D&D 3.5 and whatever, when they went to D&D 4th edition, which a lot of people didn't jump on, either because they didn't like how the game was, or because they didn't want to spend the money all over again on the main books and all that stuff. Basically, those flute gates I mentioned before, they were open in more ways than one. It was the open gaming license was a double-edged sword, because now, how can I put this? People could use the terms now. They couldn't exactly use the game as, the 3rd edition. They could have kept using the 3rd edition, but they couldn't. One of the conditions was that they couldn't replicate the core books, the rules themselves. But they could use the language. They could, start talking about classes, hit points, levels, and a lot of things that were before, that are very specific to D&D, which are the soul of D&D, if you will. So people realize, okay, I can't replicate the rules of 3rd edition as they are, but however, I can make my own version of D&D. I can refer to these things that make D&D what it is, basically and just add my own rules to the rest, and some people even replicated old editions with that. Just, if you're careful, copyright-wise, don't mention that it's a clone of D&D, but you can mention, oh, it's a clone of this edition of the world's best-selling fantasy role-playing game, things like that. And because of that, now, the market of D&D, the client base of D&D, has been divided in a lot of different games. So Wizards lost a lot with the way they handled 4th edition. And basically my series of videos is going to discuss all these different versions of D&D, which are D&D and everything except the name. They can't be called D&D, but they are, I'm going to discuss them. And now, to conclude the introductory episode, I have to say that Wizards seem to have learned their lesson. They're coming up with a D&D 5th edition, and yeah, in a way it doesn't make sense, because you might think, well, now they're doing the same thing again, coming up with a new edition so early. But the fact is, 4th edition is really not selling well. And now they're doing a 5th edition, but listening to the fans. They're, play testing with fans, they're doing online polls, they want to know what the fans want, and they're looking also at some of these variants and taking hints from how they handle the game. So it's very interesting, because now these unofficial games have influenced the actual official D&D. Um, so anyway, it's very interesting. Let's see how D&D 5th edition goes. I might give it a chance. Like, I'll look it up the same way I do with 4th edition. I'll take a look at it. I'll see if I like it or not. If I like what I see, I'll buy it. If not, I have plenty of other versions, which I'll be discussing soon. Thank you for joining me.